What's going on? I think I'm live. I'm just going to check real quick. Let's have a look. All right. Sure, why not? How's it going, everybody? Today, I'm going to show you how to build this more advanced swiper.js slider in Webflow. So we've got two connected sliders here, actually the image and the name over here. We have autoplay and progress scrolling over here. And we have numbered pagination that is clickable. So we can click to either one and we can press next and previous. And I'm going to be using actually a previous from a previous live stream as a template, and then we'll just modify that to get us to where we want to go. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to go to webflow.com/@webbay, and I'll leave a link to this in the description below after the stream, of course. But so the one I'm talking about is this one right here, swiper.js slider template with it's like bring your own CSS. So if I click view details, yeah, no external CSS file. So that's the one I want. And you can see this is the normal slider that we have. So we'll go ahead and modify this. So I'm going to go ahead and clone it. And we'll create the site. Hey, what's up, Kevin? And Virat, how are you guys doing? Thanks for stopping in. Hopefully you can hear me and everything. So this is Swiper Progress live. Virat, I saw you guys had a new update to cut copy, I think, so that you're working on that. So that's super cool. Congratulations on that launch. I saw Webflow. What is it? They pumped you up today. They pumped you guys up, which is really good. Okay, we've got this thing here. So I think the first thing I'm going to start out with is all the layout stuff, and then we'll hop into the code after that. So really what I want to do is I want this swiper to just take up half. I'm going to use Flexbox most likely, and then the controls will be in the other half here. And I think we should just do a quick second to walk through. Hey, what's going on, Pablo? What's going on? Ken and Leo and Maddie. Nice to see all you guys. Appreciate you stopping in. So this is your basic CMS slider template. I think the code is probably in here in the page settings. Pretty standard stuff if you've watched my other live video. But essentially what we're doing is we're importing Swiper. We're creating a new instance of Swiper. And then we're setting all our options in here for our default one. This was to do some like after the page loads, then show the swiper rather than show like a swiper that hasn't initialized yet. So that's what's going on there. And then all of this is disconnected from the classes essentially. So I'm not using any of the swiper CSS. Most of the tutorials you'll see, people are putting some CSS, the link tag in the head here, but we're not doing that with this one. Anyways, let's go ahead and just start jamming away on this thing. So I'm already seeing here that I have padding global and container on the controls, but I don't have any container on the swiper. So that is just because of the design. I wanted an edge-to-edge full bleed with the swiper on the last one. So let's start with that first. So I'm just going to bring padding global up here, and then we'll put padding vertical under our container medium. And let's see. So we have padding vertical there. And so let's drop swiper controls right here under padding vertical, and I'm going to wrap this, and we'll just call this WB-layout or something. And we'll put these both as children of that. So, okay, those are both linked up now, but that's blocked. So let's change this to flex, and our controls have completely gone away. Hey, Chevet, are you going to attend the London conference? I'm planning to go to San Francisco since I live right here, although I get a lot of FOMO seeing all you Londoners going wild out there. I know they put on a really good show, but I'll be in San Francisco most likely, assuming I can get a ticket. But for the last 2 years, it's been like this. It's sold out, and I don't have a ticket, and I end up getting there somehow. So I don't know. I'll offer to them to give another talk, and hopefully that gets me a ticket. Maddie Evans, question: can you store the last slider position as a cookie? You could store anything as a cookie. You would, yeah, you could do that. You would basically set the cookie, set the index of the active slider. So use the Swiper Events API to do that. Get the, so this is what I would do. Let's go to, we're going to digress right away because Maddie has a question. I want to go to this Events API over here. I know you can't see because my stupid face is in the way over here, but that's what you get. So we're at the events, and then on, we want to do on slide change. This should give us access to the index, I believe. So something, I think you can put in a parameter, the index. Yeah, these are everything that we get. So let's find the slide change here. So on slide change, you get the swiper. So then you could call something like swiper.activeIndex, I think. Essentially, you just want to make sure that you get that index. And then each time that happens, you could check for a cookie. I would probably use cookie.js and just set the cookie to that, like a number value. And then when the page loads, have some code to read in that cookie and set the swiper. So then you would want to use probably set index or something. I'm not sure exactly. Slide or move. I think you can tell it where to move to. There's an event that you can do that with too. So that's what I would do, Maddie Evans. I'll bet ChatGPT could get you there if you wanted to, but these will help you at least in that regard. Leo, I know this is out of scope, but I have been having a big problem trying to understand client first. Can you direct me any easy material that helped you easily? I mean, the docs for me are the best, and watching the client first live builds with Harshit, his stuff I found to be really good. I know they can be a little bit long, or just even inspecting the projects and seeing how that is. I'll be using I honestly I use client first, and then once I get to what is it? Once I get to a certain point, sometimes I go outside and create my own class kind of naming and that sort of thing. But that's the best advice I can give you. So I know it's not great, but that's how I learned. And then also just working at FinSuite has given me a lot of visibility into lots of client first stuff. Hey, Iram, thanks for popping in. I appreciate that. Yeah, I know you keep asking me for GSAP stuff. I do have. Let me see. Maybe I can give you a quick little example. I'm planning a GSAP course, but it's going to be at least a week or two. Let me see. I'm not sure where I have it in here. This one? Where's my WebBay one? I don't know if I have it up. It's got to be this one. No, I don't have it up right now. Sorry. I was hoping to give you a preview of the website that we're going to build. It's going to be all GSAP, so looking forward to that. Anyways, Maddie, I hope that answered your question, and Leah, I hope that answered your question too. So let's continue on with the build, and I'll be periodically just checking in on questions here. So we've got our layout. This is now in our container, and we see that the swiper is going way too far. So let's start by setting overflow clip on this thing just to start, because that's good, because what was happening was these images were, we have a ton of images in here because it's CMS. I think there's 12 of them, and they were just going outside of their bounds there. So we're setting this to 100%, but also this is trying to take up some room as well. So let's take this first child of the WB-layout class, and what we'll do is we'll just set this width to 50% instead of 100%. And so I like that. And what we need to do as well is we'll just grab this slide. That's right where we want it to be there, but these are 1-to-1 aspect ratio. So let's go ahead. This was 50% and a height of 25 rem. We'll get rid of that explicit height, and we'll just drive the height based on the 1-to-1 aspect ratio. Yep, so that should look good now. And we're going to take swiper controls, and I'm going to set the sizing to grow if possible. And things are going to need to be smaller just to fit in here, but we have our pagination, and then we have our buttons, and we're going to need our progress bar as well, our automated progress bar, and we're also going to need that other collection up here. So let's work on, I think, the progress first. I want to change the colors on some stuff, and I'll check in on the chat. Pablo, Keegan, do you use Swiper Studio? Pablo, no, I do not. I have checked it out. It's pretty cool. But I think you have to pay to export any code. And I'm pretty familiar with Swiper, very, very familiar with Swiper, I guess. So I just kind of know where to go with that. But it's a really cool tool. It's a really cool tool. Brian, excited to catch this live. I think we're looking forward to that GSAP course. Right on. I appreciate it. Yeah, me too. I know it's gonna be great. I hope. I hope we'll make it good. Okay, so we've got the pagination here. So these bullets, these are custom elements because I want them to be buttons. So if we come over here, yep, they're buttons. So let's go ahead and just these are actually not going to be bullets. So these are going to be numbers. Let's work on the what's it called first, the progress bar. So I have these buttons. These are definitely too big though. So I'm just going to set these to something like 2 by 2 rem. Oops, not 1. Man, when I get on the live stream, I just get hard to click stuff when people are watching you live, I guess. But I'll get used to it. Okay, so we made those smaller. Let's go ahead and chuck a div, and we'll just call this WB progress wrapper. This is a little confusing because Swiper does have a progress style of pagination, which like fills up. If you were on slide 2, it would be 20%, like 2 out of 10. Slide 3 would be 30%. But we want this to actively scroll. So we're just going to build this ourselves. So this is Swiper controls. Let's set this to, no, that still needs to be like that. But what I need to do is wrap this in another div, and we'll call this WB controls wrapper because I'm not the most creative namer. And then out of controls, we'll take this progress wrapper, put it here, drag Swiper controls up. Let me check the zoom. Okay, 110 is as much as I want to go. So the controls wrapper, now this is the one we have to set to expand if possible. So this is still flex, and let's center everything in there. So just like this, and we're going to center everything, but I don't want to do that. I want to go vertical, and this now needs to be 100% width. And I don't want this to grow anymore. I want that to be centered, and we have our progress wrap here. So this is going to be 100% width as well. And inside of there, I'm going to drop another div, and this is going to be WB progress bar, just like that. So, okay, we've got, that is going to be, we'll set the height to 1 rem and the width to 100%. Let's set it to 0.5 rem. And I'm going to make the color, I think I have like a black here. And then we'll set the transform to be the scale transform. We'll work with scale X here. So I'm going to unlink those and set the X to 0.2, but we need to set the transform origin over here to the left so that now when I bump, what I'm going to do, oops, I meant to go not shift up, just up and down. So we can see that's kind of how this is going to work, is we're going to set the scale X property based on the progress exposed by the Swiper events API. So that's how that's going to work. Let's go ahead and change the color on this thing, the Swiper button, over to that same black too. And I think the active one should get that as well. Okay, so we've got our progress bar. Let's make our wrapper another color as well. I'm going to use gray 2. And so I'll set that on the button over here as well, gray 2. So I think what we want to do now is just make sure this progress bar is working for autoplay. Yeah, let's go ahead and set up our code. So I want to come in here. So I have a folder, Swiper progress. I'm in VS Code. I'm going to create a new file. We'll call this swiper live.js. And yeah, sure, we want to create this file. Let me zoom in for you. And all I'm going to do is just grab the code from this project. And so this is a module type. I'm going to take everything within the module, come out of there, and let's paste that into VS Code because I want to start working on it. And I can get rid of the sidebar. You don't need to see that anymore. But hopefully, let me see how this looks on the live stream. Yeah, my face is in the way. So I'll bring myself over here. And what we'll do is we're going to click go live here. So this is using the live server VS Code extension. But you see this is at localhost port 5500. When I use type module, you'll get some CORS errors, I think, if you go directly from localhost. So I'm using the localcan app here, which is like a proxy server that we can basically forward our localhost to an HTTPS temporary server. So we have test.local here is forwarding my 127.0.0.1 on port 5500. And I'm going to create a localcan URL. So we'll create a public URL. This is great for sharing development code too. I'm really loving this app. And then I'll copy this. And now if I paste it into the browser, I'll do command just like that. Then we actually get the exact same thing. Now we have swiperlive.js and we can see our code here. So let's copy that, come to the Webflow project and set the script source equal to that. So we'll save and now we can publish and see if our code is running. Okay, so the swiper has initialized, and I can go ahead and swipe through. The pagination is working. Our progress bar is not working, so let's get working on that now. Bring the code back up here. And just getting all myself sorted. So let's look at this code and what was going on. So we're targeting the class WB Swiper, and we have the class names of our new class names, not the Swiper class names. So we're working on, I think I'm just going to get rid of all these breakpoints and just set slides preview to 1. So I'll copy this, delete all of these, and space between I'll set to 0. I got GitHub Copilot help me out here. I'm going to delete this code too. Remember, this was to like hide the slider until the page loads and then show it. I think that attribute doesn't exist on this project, so just not going to deal with it right now. And we want to get working on that slider action, the progress slider. So I think there's something in the chat here. This is my first live stream from you. I'm pretty excited, so I may have a lot of questions, which may be out of scope. Go ahead. It gives me I appreciate you being here, and it gives me a chance to go and just talk about whatever. That's really the reason of this. The only reason to build the slider is to have something to do when the chat is empty. So what we're going to do is come on over to the Swiper API. I think there's an event like autoplay time left. So we have autoplay here. There's autoplay methods, autoplay events. So this autoplay time left gives you access to the swiper instance, the amount of time left, and the percentage that is done. So we can also come over to the resources here. They have some demos. So if I open this in a new tab, I'm just going to search autoplay. Autoplay progress is the one. They have a cool one here that has like a spinny thing. And so if we open up their code, we can kind of get an idea of how to do this. Come on down. We can see in their HTML here. So that's right here. Their autoplay progress is here, and they're using an SVG. Let's see, the class autoplay progress is defined up here in the CSS. So they're defining a variable progress, setting it to 0, and then they're setting the stroke dash offset to this calc times 1 minus the progress variable. So that's how they're getting this to animate. Just like that. We'll just use the scale X property. If we come down and look at the swiper actual implementation here with the constructor that they're using, we see they're tapping into the events API with this on property, and they're defining that autoplay time left function here. And it's getting access to the swiper instance, the amount of time left, and the progress. And then they're updating the progress circle style. They're setting the value of the progress property to 1 minus progress. And they're updating the text content to the time, which is in milliseconds, dividing that by 1,000 to get the number of seconds, appending the string s on there, and calling math.ceiling on that so it rounds essentially up. So that's how we're getting the 3, 2, 1 countdown. So let's go ahead and just grab this whole bit of code right here, and we'll come over to VS Code, and we'll drop this in our swiper. So on autoplay time left, this was swiper. I think this is time left, and this is progress. Let's go ahead. We'll just comment this out since we don't have a progress circle, and we'll console.log everything here. I don't think we need to log the swiper instance, but we'll leave it right there. Okay, so we've saved that. Let's go back to Arc, and let's go back to our published page, and it's going to load. And I actually don't have autoplay defined on this yet, so let's define autoplay. I need to grab that from this code as well. So just copying that, and we'll drop it in right here. So we can see we have an autoplay property, and then that gets its own options object, and which has a delay property and disable on interaction. And so we're just setting 2,500 milliseconds or 2.5 seconds for each autoplay. So that's been saved. We can come back to our published project and refresh. And we should start seeing some autoplay now. There we go. Okay, so we've got that working, and let's check out the console to see all the stuff that we're console logging. So we're console logging the time left, and we also have progress. And if I scroll up, then I'm not going to get, it's still logging this all out. But we can see progress is essentially counting down. So that's why they're doing that 1 minus progress on there. And we can use that to set that scale X property. Remember, if we head back to Webflow, we'll target this WB-progress bar class, and we'll set its scale to something between 0 and 1. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to head over to VS Code, and let's say const progress bar is equal to document.querySelector WB swiper progress bar. Good guess, but not quite. So we'll put our class name in there, and now we have the progress bar. And so we can let's have GitHub Copilot write this for us. So I'm going to delete this, and we'll say set progress bar scale X using 1 minus progress, and .style.transform equals scale X 1 minus progress. That looks right to me. So let's save that and open up our site. And now we can see that we're setting the scale X property, and it's working. And if we click on over, it resets. So this is working great so far. We can skip through. Pretty happy with that already. I'm going to check in on the chat, see if anything's going on. Had no idea the swiper demos existed. That alone is life-changing. Yeah, I go there all the time. They have a bunch of really great kind of minimum examples to grab from. So, hey, thank you for the cash, Virat. Thank you for the cash. I've never received cash on YouTube, so this is a lot of fun. I don't know what currency you sent me. Is that God? What is? It's not the rupee. The rupee is in India. I think you're in India, right? Anyways, big thanks to you for that. That's awesome. I'm planning to work on next making the slider out of the names. I think would be great, because we'll use the controller attribute for that, and we'll have to instantiate a new slider. We could improve the styling with some padding and stuff here, but nobody cares about that. That's just Webflow stuff. We're going beyond Webflow. So let's go ahead. We will. I think can we just copy this? Yeah, I'm just going to copy this, and I'm going to put it in the controls wrapper. Do I want it in controls? I want it in controls wrapper. So we'll paste it and drag it all the way up here. What we'll do is we'll ditch this image, and we'll drop in text block. Probably should be H2s, but whatever. And we'll get the name, so we can see we're starting to get some names here. Now, what did I do to make this terrible? Everything should be centered, right? I have something on expand grow if possible. I don't. Maybe it's this right here. Yeah, why is it so tall? Oh, because I have that 1-to-1 because I copied it. Okay, so it's trying to fit all of these. What's it called? It's trying to fit them all in there, but it shouldn't be doing that. So these have sizing set to none. And since this is inside the wrapper, if I just set this, I can't set it to 50% because it's set to try to grow if possible. So let's remove that and then set it to 50%. And that gets me there. But of course, this is overflowing because everything is center aligned. So this is looking better now, but not great because we still want to fix this. And that's because I didn't rename these. So I just screwed myself by not renaming these. So I probably shouldn't have copy pasted this in the first place. Let's go ahead. We'll call this WB names. I guess I'll call this names. I don't have a great naming system already. Duplicate WB-names list and WB-names slide. So let's come back here. We want to set this back to 50%. And what was the other thing that I changed? I got rid of the aspect ratio. So we'll set this back to 1-to-1, and now we're in business. So good to go there. All right. So don't worry about this showing like this right now. We'll address that in just a minute. Let's go ahead and style. I think I'm going to use an H2 actually, just so I don't have to style it. The name. And we'll delete this text block. All right, so we got Sentinel Steel, Diamond Dave, everything's popping in there. We renamed our classes so we can get those. And yeah, let's go ahead and publish and start working on the code for this. So I'm going to grab this WB-names is the class that's going to define the swiper. So what we'll do is we'll just copy everything here and we'll paste it there. So this is swiper names, WB-names. I think this is name slide. I need to remember what all these were. Names list, name slide. All right. I think this is names list. This should probably be wrapper to go with the swiper convention. So we'll copy that. Come back here. Oops. Let's Command Z. I just want to rename it. Oh, that already exists. Names. That's why. Okay, I think we're good to go there. Oh man, what did I do? Doesn't contain any items. Let me just refresh it and I think it'll repopulate. Okay, so this just changes to names. These will be the same. These actually aren't applicable. We're not going to have pagination. We're not going to have navigation. We want one slide per view. We want it to loop. We want zero space between. We want no autoplay. And we want to get rid of this. So that's a really basic implementation. So, okay, these are back, so that's great. Let's see. I just copied this so we don't have to worry about adding any extra pagination and navigation. So let's see if this swiper is actually initialized or if we're getting any errors. And we can see it's initializing. And I can drag it, but it's doesn't know what it's doing. I think it's really big. It doesn't know what it's doing inside of its container. Sometimes I get this in swiper. Let me scroll down. Yeah, see how it's like it's set the width to something in 16 million. Some maximum. It doesn't know how high it can go. So I've run into that at times. So we'll just set the width to 100% so that it knows to chop off right there. And hopefully that fixes it. All right. I see there's some stuff in the chat. I'll get to that as soon as I solve this issue. Okay, there we go. And now we can scroll through this. Nothing's connected up. Somebody might go and use autoplay on this as well. The problem there is, like, what if they initialize at different timings? They'll probably be pretty close. But Swiper has the controller attribute that we can use, or the controller property. I'll check in on the chat, though. Leo says, working on a project requires me to create a custom carousel with the tab, just like a slider. I saw Clonable that did that exactly. Issue is this messes up the nav bar in the mobile and tablet view of the project. It automatically closes my dropdown on my nav bar every 5 seconds as it resets. It's been driving me mad. I don't think I know what you mean by create a custom carousel with the tab. So either send me, if you can share some sort of design or similar design, and how that's connected to the nav bar. I don't understand the design enough to be able to answer that question right now, I think. Let's hook up the swiper here to the swiper over here. So swiper offers us the controller. That's thumbs. We want controller. And so controller is a way to basically link one swiper instance up to another one. And I always get it wrong which one controls which. But all we have to do is add a controller module and then say control and pass another swiper reference that should be controlled by this swiper. So we want our swiper 1 to control our swiper 2. So let's go ahead and I guess this is swiper 1 and this is swiper 2. And we want this one to control this one. And so what I would do is we'll set control here. And no, we want controller. And we want to control swiper names. However, this is being instantiated after this. So I'm just going to instantiate the names first. And we'll bring it up here. And we don't want the user to be able to do anything with swiper names. So right now you can drag swiper names, basically like we could make this one control this one and this one control this one. But what I'm going to do is just set the allow touch move property to be false so that this just always tracks with this one. So we can save that and we set the controller here. So let's come back to Webflow, back to our site, and everything initializes. And when it gets to here, then yes, it toggles the other part of our swiper. So that's great. We got that hooked up. And then if I move this, then the correct name is going to show. So that's good. And now I can't drag this. So the allow touch move property is false. That's what that did. I think the next thing we should work on is getting the pagination to show up as numbers. Yeah, so let's do that. The way we can kind of use Webflow to our advantage here, I'm always interested in trying to do as much of this in Webflow as we can. Just in the chat, Pablo says, Flowbase has an easy to set auto tab animation that is relatively easy to implement. Yeah, I've seen that too. My problem with that, I don't know if they fixed it, but in Safari it was using .click, like element.click, and Safari would register that to scroll. So if you're it's basically like auto rotating your tabs component and then scrolling to it. But Safari would scroll down to the thing. So if it's not in your hero, then you're kind of screwed. I think Flowbase auto rotate tabs. I think it's this code here. How to add auto rotating tabs in Webflow. So they've got a code snippet here. Yeah, it's this one, this .click call. I've looked at this a lot because I have some similar. I had to do one with videos. And oh, here they have a fix for Safari in here. So that's great. So you can use this. I did a similar one with video. It's an older one, so the code might be a little more, and it's in TypeScript, so people just don't know. Actually, let's just search WebA auto rotate tabs with video. So it was this one, auto change Webflow tabs time to video duration. So check that out. If it helps, it helps. I probably am due to redo this one though. I think I could make it quite a bit better. Anyways, let's get out of there. What was I doing? Okay, we are in Webflow and we're working on our pagination now. So here's our controls. Here's our controls wrapper. Let's go ahead and just set some sort of padding here on the left and right. Actually, I just want the left. So yeah, that works for now. We have our swiper bullet here. Now we talked about how this is a button. Does that give us a text property here? Something like that? It does. I was putting text when I was experimenting. Let's see how this works, how this goes, because I would rather just have the text like that. Okay, so over in the styles, I'm going to drag myself over here. Then we can go ahead, we can get rid of this width and height. We can get rid of this color, and this has our active combo class on it. So we can get rid of this background color as well. And I think what I want to do, we'll go back to styling the base class, and we'll make the weight 600, 500, yeah, 500. And we'll up the size to maybe 1.5, like that. And so we're just creating templates for us, and then we're going to use those templates with the render bullet property that Swiper offers. So let's go ahead and set the color to that same gray 2 that the background of the nav bar is here. Oops, that text color, not that color. And then on the one with the active combo class, we'll set the color to black, or black 2 like we have here. So this is how we want it to look. Now, how do we tell Swiper to actually do that? What did I do with the background? I got something wrong with the background here. Let's make this just transparent, just like that. I think it's applying some like standard button CSS that we have to overwrite. Some like standard browser CSS. Looking at the chat, they have a Safari fix last time I checked, and Leo, I think the response is for both of us. So he's saying go ahead and use that Flowbase one. if that's what you're used. I didn't quite understand your designs, but I think that sounds like what you're going for, or at least close to it. Okay, so we have styled our numbers. I'm worried they're gonna be a little bit too big because there's 12 of them, but this is just a demo little example, so I'm not too worried about it. But we have those. Let's publish. And this isn't gonna work. We still have some stuff to set up, but we can at least have a look. Just waiting for publish. I'm trained when I record myself to be really quiet when it publishes, because I can edit out it when it's quiet. I look at the waveforms while I'm editing, and this obviously is something broken, which is a bummer. But yeah, we'll just wait on it, and we can start working on the code while we wait. I wanted to just grab the HTML from the site though, so I guess we can go ahead and look at the swiper render bullet property. So this basically lets us tell Swiper that we want to use a custom bullet. What happens is when Swiper loads, if we come back here, we'll see there's my 2 template bullets, and then it actually loads the real bullets. So it clears whatever's in the pagination and then loads a bunch of bullets, or whatever pagination type you tell it to load. So it has that fraction style and it has that progress style that I mentioned already too, but we want to do some actual numbers. And just checking on this, something's definitely busted. So let's just refresh. I saved and refresh, and we'll just try publishing once more after this refresh. All right, publish. It says published a few seconds ago. Maybe it worked, maybe it didn't. Well, that time it worked. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna refresh here. It's gonna break. The pagination is not gonna work. We see it goes away. Actually, that's a bummer. Let's just go ahead. What we'll do is we will comment all of this out, come back to the browser. So we're not going to initialize, but what we want to do is grab this HTML, because we're going to pass this to the render button value. So come back here. So totally customized pagination bullets. You need to pass a function that accepts index of pagination bullet and required element class name only for bullets pagination type. So you can see here their example is they return a span and then just grab the index as a number and you apply a class name. So they're just building some HTML in there. So let's do that ourselves. So now I can comment this back, and in our pagination, we're going to set render bullet to index and class name. And did that wrap exactly what I wanted? I think it did. It knows, yeah, so it's grabbing this. It knows the class name because we defined the class name up here. And it knows to make it a button. It knows to set index +1. So let's just save and make sure it worked, and then we'll style it a little bit further. So we're back here. And look, we've got some numbers, and it's setting the active state. So that is very cool. I think we want to, so we've got index +1 here, but we want to 0 pad everything. So an easy way to do that is we'll say, actually, we'll just say index + = 1, just to increment index by 1, because we don't want to have an index of 0. And then we'll say if index is less than 10, then our index equals to the 0 pad. We're using template literal syntax here, and then injecting the index. Otherwise, it's just going to be a 2-digit number already. So we'll delete this +1 here, save, come on back, and refresh, and see what we get. So, okay, we've got everything 0 padded. I think we need some more gap in between those, but that's fine for now, and we can click these, and they're active. So we've hit all the wickets that I really want to hit. One thing that does suck about having this in the hero that I touched on the last one is that it's going to load the HTML and CSS without the instantiated swiper instance right away. So we'll fix that right now. It's going to be quick, so we're almost done with the stream. I wanted to check in on the chat, but everything's freezing on me on my other monitor right now, so I'm not sure what's going on. Let's see. Here we go. Okay. It looks like my face was probably over the HTML too, but let's bring me back down here, I guess. Hey, Hoffman. Hi from Brazil. I know there's some big floods. I don't know if you're affected by those at all, but I was reading about some floods in Brazil. Without dropping them, but go to Flowbase. add, yeah, or just Google auto rotate tabs Webflow Flowbase. That worked for me. Anyways, we will continue on here. So we've got that. What did I say we were going to work on? I said we were going to do something. Oh, the initial load. So what we can do, something like this is just kind of a simple hack, and it's not, you know, if you're working on the project, great, but if you're working on this with a team, then it can be a little bit tricky. But essentially what we would do is set this opacity to 0 and then set it to 100% once the swiper code has finished running. So let's go ahead, and to make this visible, to keep it visible in Webflow, I'll go ahead and define the CSS in the page set settings up here. So we'll just open some style tags, and we'll paste our class name, and we'll set opacity to 0. So designer's still going to look good, but now if we publish and have a look, we'll see that you'll never see anything. All right. Refresh over here. And yep, it's gone because that opacity is 0. So if we target the layout and we start bringing opacity up, then we can see that opacity 1, I guess, is the value we want. Then we get it there. So let's go ahead and grab this class. And what we're going to do is once this code has all executed, then we'll just grab it using query selector, and we'll set the dot style dot opacity. Let's just have, I always mess up or forget what the right code is here. So we'll just have GitHub Copilot do this for us. Doesn't want to. I think we can just do that though. Did I spell everything? Yep. Come on back here. What did, something's not working. Let me make sure we got our layout. That's flex. The opacity, we know that this is working because we tested it. Oh, did I select? Yeah, I did. Okay. Let's reopen it. It's not showing, and now it shows once everything is ready to go. I'm not sure what happened there, but this is working. So if we reload, we see it waits, and then it finally displays once everything has loaded, so we don't have that unstyled content being shown to the user. Anyways, that is it. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Pablo, thanks for hopping in. Hoffman, Leo, if there's any questions, drop them right now. Otherwise, I'm going to click the kill button on this and be all done. Virat, thank you for the cash. That was awesome. Hope you guys enjoyed this stream and learned a couple things about building with Swiper. So catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.